So one of the biggest problems when you do a default skin bind is the head. It always crumples in like this. So basically, it's what's creating this problem is that joints are stealing weight away from this chief head joint. Like this top head joint should basically control all of this. And then if you had a jaw joint, you would control the verts kind of the jaw, because it's going to rotate those, you know. But a quick way to sort of fix that is I just go in, I shift click all my faces that are going to be like 100%. Let's turn off symmetry. 100% bound to that head joint. And since we've UV'd our characters, we can also go in and just shift click one of those UV chunks, or one face of those UV chunks, and then hold Control right click. And we can go to UV shell. Boom. See how it just automatically selects that? Super handy for this. Super handy. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to just start deselecting some faces in here. Oh, let me turn off my joints, because whenever you're selecting and you're dealing with joint, like if joints are on the in your viewport, it's going to try to select those first. Joints have like a higher priority in selection. Very annoying. Very annoying, especially for animation. Oh my god, it'd be like trying to select like the hand joint, and then it will, or the hand control, and it will just select the joints behind it. It's like a nightmare. So I'm just selecting these. That looks symmetrical to me. Oh, I need to select this ear as well. So, make sure I got that. So to fix this crumpling head, I'm guessing that it's because some of these eye joints stole a little bit of like the forehead weight away from this head joint. So like these eye joints right here, as they bend down, this head joint is like controlling half of these verts, and then the eye joint's controlling the other half of that influence. So it's kind of warping that face. So what we needed to do is just go into our Paint Skin Weights tool with this selection. Or wait, let's go out of it. I'm going to convert that selection by holding Control right click. I'm going to go to verts, and I'm going to go hold right click, Paint Skin Weights tool, and I'm trying to find head right there. Boom. And we can visualize this nice with the color ramp, or off instead. And I want to just go to add, opacity 1, value 1, normalize weights, interactive. Boom. And oh, I seem to have had everything selected. Fantastic. This is why we save often with rigging. Oh my god. All right, so this sort of thing, this is definitely reopen your file, because everything is fucked now. Let's go to blend shape. I'm going back to before I applied the blend shape. Always do your blend shapes last if you're going to do those. Don't do those in like midway in the rigging process. I'm just going to select those faces again. Boom, bang. Selecting the ears, all that. And I'm also going to select the inside of the mouth. You guys don't have the inside of the mouth, but in case you do, you want to make sure that that's following the head as well. Turn off the joints layer, so I'm not selecting that. Let's make sure. There we go. All right. And then I'm just control right clicking to UV shell. Then I can go in, start deselecting some of these. Very nice, very nice. Oh, I gotta get the top of the head as well. So I'm just Control Shift, left click dragging to add to the selection. And we can go to, we can control right click to vertices. There. Let's go to Paint Skin Weights tool. Let's give this another go. So head, I want to flood all of that to there. Nice. So now, when we rotate the head, it is no longer crumpling because that head joint, go back to my Paint Skin Weights, this head joint right here, this one, see how when we have it selected, it's completely 100% white. So that means that it has 100% control over all of the verts that are painted white right here. And of course, we'll need to lock everything, lock invert selection. And now I only have the neck and head unlocked. And I can go in and I can start smoothing between these two. And with this nicer gradient fall off, when I rotate the head, it's going to be, it's not as severe of like look at this sort of fold that's being created in the neck. You can just smooth that out. Right there. So yeah, make sure before you do any of that deformer stuff, blend shapes, I think you can wrap deform, but I wouldn't want to risk it for you guys. I don't want you guys to risk that. As you saw, with the blend shape and everything, pretty much just destroyed my rig. So be careful with that. Always save at each of those like big steps. I don't want anyone losing progress this late into class. But yeah, so now the head can be posed, moved around. It might have a bit too much weight actually in there. Notice how when I pull this out, kind of bevels out there. I want to paint more back onto the neck from the head. I feel like the head has a little bit too much control over like these verts right here. So I'm going to go to the neck. I'm just going to go to add. I'm going to go to a small value there. Oops. I accidentally painted some of the chin there. And I'm just kind of painting that back onto the neck. So notice how that's folding back in. Very nice. Very nice. But yeah, so painting skin weights takes a long time, guys. Hopefully when you do your bind, everything moves around pretty nicely, but like the head is very, very commonly going to give you some problems. Just because the heads they're pretty big in terms of mass. My shoulders don't deform very well with this default bind. Like look at how much it's pulling out on that lat right there. I'll need to paint that back. I'll need to paint these verts. I'll need to unlock like the shoulder and clavicle and these spine joints, sort of add that weight back onto the spine in order to kind of push it back in there. But yeah, so once you get all of that done, select all of your controls. You can just drag select as long as you don't have your joints available for selection. So I turn those off usually. You can go in here, make sure you don't select your meshes either. There's only the controls. And you can just left click drag down these values and just type in 0 and it will zero out all those and you'll be in your like default bind pose. And we can go skin, mirror skin weights. And I painted up the left side of them, which is, if you orient over here, you can see in the bottom left, super small. that's X positive. So we're going to try to mirror over from X positive to X negative. And for those of you who have bonus joints on your character, if they're not part of your hierarchy, like Sandy, I made your hair a different hierarchy that is only for the hair pretty much. You don't have to worry about it as much. You would just select your mesh, your regular character's mesh. We're gonna go positive to negative, mirror, and then the neck will be similar on both sides then. And there's a little bit of bulginess in there still as well. But for the most part, it deforms pretty well. I might have to add onto like spine top. See how when this neck turns here, it kind of dips. It's pushing down a bit. So like these verts right here have a bit too much. Like the neck joint has a bit too much influence over them. So we can always just go back and fix that. So if I unlock neck and spine 4, I just don't want to be worried about those. I can just add some small value back onto those right there. See? And it's getting that crumpling effect out of here real quick. Nothing to be worried about. So yeah, skinning is just all about going in, bending your joints. For the most part, you just want to have 2 joints unlocked at a time, and then lock everything else down. If you're not sure what you have locked down and what you don't, you can always press right click and like lock inverse selection. It will just lock everything down, or you can just keep open like this. But yeah, the only settings that we use are pretty much add and smooth. I don't want you guys to use replace because that, speaking from remembering how I learned to paint skin weights, you're in for a world of hurt if you use replace and you're like new to skinning, because you will inevitably have like when you replace, it just forcefully tells Maya to apply that like a value of 0 or like 1, like whatever value you have in here to that joint, right? Or to those verts. And then that skin weight then becomes distributed to everything else that's unlocked. So if you're not used to locking down everything else and like keeping things locked, then that like the weight of the spine could end up in the toe. So then when you move the toe around, the spine could start moving, and it's a nightmare. I do not recommend. So yeah, that's why I always tell you guys to make sure you're only keeping 2 unlocked when you're doing this stuff. But yeah, so that's pretty much skinning, deformation, mirroring, pretty much everything you need to know for getting a character workable. But yeah, so get on it, guys. That stuff is due next week.